Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Duck Chatter. Today we're going to talk about scouting for ducks. A lot of people do it different ways, and there's several different ways to do it. It's not rocket science, you just go out and find the ducks. There's nothing worse than going out opening day and not seeing any ducks, or any other day for that matter, or not even having a chance to kill ducks. Nothing worse than that. But you can do something about it. You can go out and find ducks before time and know that they're going to be there. They're not always there, but you got at least an 85 or 95% chance that you're going to have a decent hunt the next day if you find the ducks. I've talked about making sure that you go where the ducks are. That's the number one rule for a duck hunter. I've said it several times. But if you go where the ducks are, you can do things wrong and still kill ducks. You can have the wind wrong, you can have calling wrong, you can still have a decent hunt. But if you don't have any ducks to call at, you don't see any ducks, then you're really in trouble. So make sure you remember the number one rule of the duck hunter: go where the ducks are. There's about 3 different ways to scout for ducks or to locate ducks. One is getting in a boat, getting out and covering some ground and looking for ducks. Another is talking to friends, maybe even social media, and get an idea of if they've had a good hunt and what direction they're in, and kind of go from that. The third way is probably hit or miss, and it's going to a place where you've killed ducks before and you've got an idea that you're going to have a decent hunt because you've had one there before. Ducks, a lot of times from year to year, will use the same place. They kind of like it, and it works out sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. And if you do find ducks, it's not really good to get right in the middle of them. A lot of times you might find 500 or 1,000 ducks using a spot. And what we like to do is we like to get on the edge of them, because you get in the middle of them, you'll run them out in 1 day or 2 days at the most. But sometimes if you get on the edge of them, you can probably hunt them for maybe 3 or 4 days. And a lot of times you can hunt them and have a pretty good little hunt, get through early, and you can scout around and try to find another area that's a lot like the area that you just hunted, and it'll give you some extra days of good duck hunting. Next, I talked about friends and maybe even social media, but we've got a pretty big network of friends that we actually communicate with pretty much on a regular basis. And if they're killing ducks, let's say in the north end of a management area, we don't want to know the exact location they're at, but if they're seeing a lot of ducks, the last thing we want to do is go hunt right where they are. We want to stay off of them. But let's just say that a specific management area had ducks in the north end of it or the south end of it. Well, I go to my Onyx hunt, and I've got 3 or 4 holes that I've already located there. And I can't tell you how important it is to log this information and keep it available, because it may not be good this year, may not be good the next year, but it might be the year after, and you may be right on the ducks that you want to be at that particular time. Now, these friends that help you, a lot of times you want to reciprocate and help them back out. You don't want to tell everybody where the ducks are, but especially the people that help you and the guys that you can really trust, you want to try to help them out. Okay, now the last thing I talked about, or I want to talk about, is places that you've hunted before. You don't know the ducks are there, but you've killed them there before, and they like that area, and you've had pretty good luck. So, I've got one particular spot that I like to go if the water's there. I really feel like we've got a good chance of killing ducks because of that. Now, with that said, you've got to have, a lot of times you have to have the calling power to get the ducks down. This one particular hole, is in a management area, and I've gone and hunted it with no idea there was any ducks. Even nobody was killing them on the management area. But we've had some great hunts because we had enough call power to get the ducks down. Now, what we needed was the ducks to fly over. And we went to this particular spot several times. We had ducks fly over, and we only saw 6 or 7 bunches fly over, anywhere between 3 and 5 treetops high. But seeing that many ducks was enough, and having the call power to get them down to kill limits, 5, 6, 7 limits of ducks in a spot where you don't even know you're going to hunt. A spot that you don't know ducks are there for sure. But if you've just got one guy calling or 2 guys calling, you could go on that same hunt and not fire a shot. So keep this in mind. If you got a good spot, make sure you got the call power if you need it when you go to that spot. The last thing I want you to remember is keeping track of all the specific information you need to duck hunt. Like I said earlier, it might not happen this year or next year. It might be the 3rd year. It might happen this year. But you got to have the information. The water level on the river that you're hunting is very, very critical. You know, whether they're in shin deep water or waist deep water or it's too deep, you've got to have that information. If you're hunting a specific hole, a lot of times ducks can only get in there from one direction. Sometimes they can get in there from 2 directions. But you need to log all this information. And this information, like I said, you may not use it for 1, 2, or 3 years, but if you've got that information, it's going to come in handy sometime or another. So make sure that you log this information down, even if you write it down. Write it down so you can go back to it. And I guarantee you, this is going to help you kill ducks. It might not help you this year, and it might not help you next year. It may be the year after. But if you'll keep that information and keep it handy, there's going to be a time where it's going to pay dividends. I hope some of these ideas helped, and I know a lot of people do all these things anyhow, but there's some people that don't, so I just wanted to go over kind of every little thing. It's not rocket science. You go out there and find ducks, and you try to have a good hunt. That's the main thing. But I hope this information helped, and I'll see you next time on Duck Chatter.